Greetings, everyone. Dota here with another episode of the Tower Dive. Joining me today is Army Overlord, headcaster for the Bronze, Silver, Gold competitive series, Blaze, graphic designer and caster for the BSGCS, Not a Real Doctor, support for Frosty Esports, and finally, former adult film star X-Don. Now, let's start with our topics. First topic of the day, those are some tough nips. Can they be beaten? Can any team right now beat Naughty Nips? Let's go with you, Army.
Just for clarification, just want to make this so everybody's clear. Beaten as in not a tie, beaten as in 2-0.
Yes, I am thinking 2-0, but if no one meets that criteria for you, if you think someone can just take a game off them.
All right. Well, I'm gonna have to say that they currently have a pretty solid flow of their strategy. They seem to be coached very nicely and very well. They seem to really come around each other very nicely, and they're really doing a solid work when the team is in the groove and in the momentum. And they can really get themselves in that said momentum very fast and very effectively. And they can really shut out and close games really nicely. This being clarified, I only wanted to point out that I think that they will make their mistakes if they're not as a five-man team. And they are susceptible to taking a tie everywhere in between these matches. There's no answer to every single solution they bring up if not all five members are there. When all five members are there, they definitely look like the type of team that could go 2-0 for the rest of the remaining season. They have the right stuff for that. Right now, I just don't see at all any other circumstances with these guys. They just look like the team that can just keep doing 2-0s for a while. Only mistakes will be the reason otherwise.
Okay, Blaze?
I'd say that they're probably gonna eventually down the line against Piping maybe suffer a tie or an 0-2 possibly, but otherwise I think this team's gonna consistently 2-0. They have proven time and time again, regardless of whoever they're up against, that they can absolutely smash their opponent. If GVG's not doing too hot top lane, Omen's doing stuff in the mid lane, vice versa, the same way around. So I think this team's gonna keep 2-0ing for a while.
Okay. Doctor.
I think that the week that has the best chance for them getting a loss in would be against Piping. But besides that, I think they're going to stay pretty consistent. And then unless if anything happens with their roster, I think they're going to go all the way to that Piping game without a hitch.
All right. Don?
I'm actually a lot less optimistic than you guys are. I think history's already shown that the one game that they lost already was against Weeaboo, and it was simply because there was just unconventional pick with the Nasus, and they just didn't know how to handle it at first. They adjusted game two, it was a clean win after that, but unconventional picks and maybe like unconventional styles of play seem to be a little rough. So teams that could potentially do that. I think GG Esports this week absolutely has the potential to take one game off. Rengar has been working on his roster since week one, consistently trying to upgrade and improve. 4 games like these to where he can potentially take a game. I think if DST, they with Jin Daddy in the mid lane, absolute monster, and he always has a potential for a pop-off performance. So if Omen isn't able to handle that, boom, right there you're already looking at a 1-1, potentially an 0-2 if they do it 2 games in a row. Like, I don't think they're like this unstoppable powerhouse, and unconventional things and things like off the meta, maybe the meta changes drastically. I mean, obviously that's really big speculation, but I don't think it's just Piping at the end of the road that they have to look forward to potentially being the hardest game for them. I think there'll be a lot of mini challenges between where we are now and the end of the season to where they could potentially go 1-1.
Yeah, 100% agree with you, Don. As always, we are on the same page. I think the problem is, and I think I kind of touched on a little bit in the cast against Nevermore, is the problem is a lot of teams see what Naughty Nips is doing, and they say, hey, that's the best team in the league. Let's copy what they're doing. No, don't copy what they're doing. Just like Don said, the thing is unconventional picks, unconventional strategies. That's why I think, honestly, GG Esports have a pretty good shot at taking a game. Just because they do that chaos style. I don't know what they do, but it just ends up them running around the map for 30 minutes, just getting kills and giving away kills, and that's not 9-Nip style. 9-Nips has a very clean, controlled gameplay. Will GG Esports take a game off them? They could, just because, like I said, they play so wild. Rangar loves the Sejuani pick, which is Barcode's favorite champion as well. So it's very likely they could blue side first pick that, or force 9-Nips to ban it. Either way, it's a huge hit to Barcode, and as we know, Barcode is top jungler, very supportive of his team, gets GVG ahead, gets Omen ahead, who then snowball the game from there. Piping, I feel like Piping just, honestly, to me, I don't think Piping has a better shot at taking. I know right now Piping are tied in first place, but I feel like other teams have a better shot of taking a game off 9-Nips. Will anyone 2-0 them? Absolutely not. Can someone take a game off them? Yes, 100%. They are a powerhouse, but they are not unstoppable. But it's every week it looks a little more difficult to do. They're doing good. So let's go on to the next question. Never again. What team should pick up the scraps? Who desperately needs to sign some of these players who were on Nevermore, who are now free agents now that the team has completely revamped the roster, excluding the captain, Psycho Sully? Let's go back to you, Xdon.
It's a good question. Who really needs a bot lane? Those are probably the two biggest members that were on Nevermore. Carcion is pretty good. I'm not sure. I believe he's staying with the team.
No.
But he's not?
No.
No? Okay.
Unless things have changed. At the current time, it's a whole new roster except Psycho Sully.
Okay. Well, Carcion, I think he's pretty decent. He was able to hold his own against Jin Daddy, and that's kind of like a really big benchmark. Yeah, he was down in CS, but he held his own and he didn't feed on early insult, so that was pretty good. So if you're looking for a soul one trick, a couple teams could probably use a mid laner. Any that particularly jump out at me? No, but I think he's definitely above the average curve. And so the real big question would be who would be most beneficial to pick up a really strong AD carry, and then Rakan, who's an above average support. So out of those, that's a really good question. So many teams could use a really good bot lane.
No, for sure.
Maybe I could probably throw any team's name in that pool, honestly.
Yeah,
I don't think Aether would have a bad time. If you want some specific names, I don't think Aether would have a bad time. I don't think ESG would have a bad time, although they might not fit that chemistry. I know ESG is very particular about the players they let in there. Ascendancy Gaming, I actually don't think needs, but yeah, they're probably those two teams in particular.
Okay. Yeah. Not a real doctor.
For me, it would be Tis because I think they're just another winning lane away from being one of the strongest teams in the league, honestly, since they have Jin Daddy in their team.
It's actually a great choice.
That 100% solid answer, yeah. If they could, that's genius. Right now, Jin Daddy's 1v9ing. Half the time he wins, half the time they loses. If they could make it 2v8, that doubles the odds, I think, right? I mean, that's how math works. That's all right, Blaze, let's go to you.
In terms of both of them together as a package coming on board, both CTG Requiem and Can Play Rakan, I would definitely agree and say that DTS are the team that would benefit from it the most. We've seen time and time again while DTS is able to function for the most part as a unit, 90% of that is Jin Daddy making his magic work in the mid lane. So I think as a package, DTS. As a 1-for-1, give or take, and in this instance, let's say, Can Play Rakan, not CTG Requiem, I think Aether would be the best team to benefit from that, because performance out of the current Aether esports support have been quite lackluster, to put it one way, and a lot of deaths have gone over to enemy teams for reasons that should best off be avoided. And I think a Hero and a Rakan combo would be something that Aether esports would definitely benefit towards. And if we're talking about scrap players, a Carcion would also be a mid laner that this team would benefit from.
Yeah. See, you guys are thinking that they're going to be a package deal. I don't think. I mean, it's very possible that they're not going to be a package deal. It's very possible Rakan could go to one team, Requiem could go to another. So that's just my thoughts. And here, we'll do a side question before we go to Army. Who is the better of the duo? Do we think Rakan is the better, or is Requiem the better? That's
Requiem.
my question.
I think without a
Blaze?
shadow of a doubt, it's Requiem.
Blaze?
I mean, in terms of individual skill, Requiem, but you're not an ADC without a support, so I'd say Rakan.
Well, you just said both, so that's not how this works.
All
You
right.
gotta pick one. Come on.
All right, Rakan.
All right. Not a real doctor. Thoughts?
I'd say Requiem just by watching that last game that they played together. I don't know about how they played against other teams together, but from watching the last game they played against Naughty Nips when they played together, I've seen a lot more coming from Requiem. I felt like Requiem was more bringing up Rakan a little bit than the other way around.
Okay. Fair enough. Army, please.
I think it's got to be Rakan as well. I think that it's just his performance can just turn when Requiem's having a bad day into Requiem having a decent day. That's too valuable of an asset to ignore. Requiem could have a great day and could have a bad day, and without Rakan, I mean that bad day stays bad. And I've seen the negatives before from him, and that'll happen if he does not have that support to make it work. And by that I meant a support. And that's all.
Fair enough. So my thoughts. So I've got a couple different sources, heard a few different rumors. So right now, Rakan and Requiem both trying out for teams. At least 2 to 3 teams right now are kind of courting them, we'll say. I don't think they're a package deal, like they're saying we have to be taken together or we don't play, but I think they are looking to be a package. It's just kind of, I guess, how sweet the deal is, how sweet the team is, depending if they break up or not. Acarcion, like you mentioned, Don, he's been trying out for some teams also, so he's looking. If you remember Ulf, the other mid laner that they were trying, subbing in and out per game, as far as I know, he's not going to play in the league anymore. Apparently, he's taking a break from League of Legends to focus on trimming armor and buying girlfriends in RuneScape. That's the info I have.
Whatever.
And then
that's what you came up with. All right.
that's not from me. I didn't make that up. Swear, that's what they said. He wants to play RuneScape.
All right.
Apparently, he's huge into that. I wouldn't lie to you guys. And then Big Flabby Daddy has also not made any mention of looking for a team. So it's only 3 members right now that are looking for teams. Obviously, like we talked about, Rakan, Requiem are the huge names. They're the huge pickup. That was the reason, in my opinion, why Nevermore went 0-4-0 as opposed to like 0-1-2 and then either 3 or 1. So that's my thoughts, and I think everyone else will agree. The bot lane's the big name, but Acarcion is legit a solid pickup. He's 100% at least a mid-tier mid laner. So he would be a good pickup to multiple teams. Moving on to the next topic, mid-season moves. Who is making great moves? Who's picking up those free agents, bringing in new people? Who do you think right now, as far as the season goes, from the beginning of the season to now, has done the best job at picking up new members and changed the most? We'll go with you, Army.
Well, I don't have any confirmation on this whatsoever, but I am just delighted to see how big the pot is for the Gathering of Warriors to come on Wednesday. 8 p.m., by the way. I'm pretty sure you guys will already know about that very much. But I wanted to spend this advertising moment to also say that Gathering of Warriors is looking pretty nice, though, with that many
Shameless
talented players.
plug.
And I can't wait to see if any of those players that don't make onto a team can do that, especially considering with what happened during last week's one with CGEM242 and his incredible performance against all one lane to get the standout player. That was just awesome. And I really hope I can see something of that type of thing in the near future. But to finally get back to the actual question, sorry, everybody. I planned to say that the midseason is just basically a completely different season. It's almost kind of like a flip of the script with how the middle of the pack looks right now. Considering the tragic defeats of 2 of the higher competitors in the listing, and then the rise of Corey in the house, has made this such a strange outlook to really observe. And this has been an incredibly bizarre way to look at this entire season right now, considering that one middle of the season happened, and now a lot of things are almost looking like an entirely different picture than it was at the beginning of the season. And I'm excited to see what happens from this point onward. Playoffs are coming. People need to get their talented in order. They need to make sure these wins are coming up, and they got to have these wins. The leaders are going to stay in that spot for a little bit longer, a couple more wins. They might be able to automatically make playoffs, and that's fine. But the middle of the pack really got to start making their climbs, and they got to figure out a way to get the right scheme to make that happen.
All right. Thank you for not answering the question at all. Blaze, please go ahead.
What do I think is the most improved team out of week 1?
Yeah, like what team's changed the most? What team's done a
Changed
ton
the
of
most?
pickups? Yeah.
I'm gonna go with the negative here. Sail One Lane, actually. I think that at the beginning of the season, One Lane were looking very good. They played clean. They closed out the games. They had strong rotations, and when they lost, they didn't lose poorly. They didn't get curb stomped or anything. Ever since the loss of Hero of Tournament and Green Boys, I think that they're actually looking a lot worse. They tied against GG Esports, which, as a non-GG Esports fan, I think that doesn't bode for you very well. And then they went 0-2 against Ascendancy, which I feel are still a complete enigma where they stand. They lost to Piping, all right, and then they got ACG 2-0 them. Give or take on how you feel about that, but I do feel that Owen Lane are on a downwards trend right now, and they're gonna have to start doing something better if they want to start to get off that downwards trend.
Yeah, 100%. Xdon.
I think GG Esports probably the team that's changed the most and continuing to want to change the most. And I think overall it's all been better changes. Because they started off, I mean, against Piping with an 0-2, but since then it's just been ties. They were able to 2-0, Corey in the house. So, I mean, Rengar, he's crazy with the roster changes. So out of anybody, when I hear the word roster change, I'm always thinking about Rengar. Like, who's he gonna pick up next? So I'd say out of every team, 100%, GG Esports has been doing the right moves.
Yeah. No, not a real doctor. Hit us with it.
I really don't have much else to say. Blaze and Xdon covered it really perfectly about what has been happening in the league, I think, on this topic. Like, GG's been making all the right moves, and I feel like all in one lane has gone down.
Yeah. No, I 100% will agree. I think you guys covered it pretty well. So I'm not even going to answer my own question. I'm going to go reverse. What team I don't think has changed at all? I'm going to have to go with Frosty. I have to give you guys props. You guys came out, what was it, week 1? I believe you guys came out, or maybe it was week 2 you guys played Piping. You came out, you lost 2-0, right? But
Yeah.
it looked, you had some bright moments in there. You guys had a couple heavy losses and then a tie. But then you guys kept the same roster. Your guys' synergy looks pretty good. You had a solid 2-0 victory over RAR this week. And it's the same roster, basically. You guys just have taken, like, while every other team, as soon as they lose, the first thing they do is, we should pick someone else. We should get a sub. We should sub this guy out and put this guy as a starter. Which isn't a bad strat, I'll admit. I mean, if I was in the same shoes, I'd probably be like, yeah, maybe, because everyone wants to win, right? Let's pick someone new. Let's get someone better. But I think you guys, I'm not sure if you have a coach, if you've just been practicing hard, you got the synergy, but you guys haven't really changed much, and it's working though. That's the issue.
Yeah, over at Frosty, we see ourselves more as a family than as a team, and that's why I think part of it's we not have changed much is because I feel like we're more communal than other teams. Like, we see each other, I don't know, like, more as a family, like I said. And also, we do have a coach, and he tells us after every loss that don't worry about it. Next week we'll go out there and win, and that's exactly what we plan to do.
Yeah, no, you guys went from a 9th place team to tied for 4th right now in just a couple weeks. Solid, hands down, amazing stuff.
Thank you.
I also want to give a shout out to ESG. Apparently, they got a new bot lane, which I think was one of their big shortcomings. So hopefully that will help them out quite a bit, and we can see ESG, maybe jump up a couple more spots because they're in 11th right now. They went up from 12th. So hey, looking at you, Fridge. Keep doing it. So now this is a topic I really want to talk about: piping. Do we think they're really the first place team? Because right now they're tied for first with Naughty Nip, so you could say they're the top team, at least tied for the top team. Thoughts on this? Do we think they are the top team? We think they're second, or do we think we're lower and that they don't belong up there in the top spot? Let's go with you, Not a Real Doctor.
I actually do think they're in the top spot. Reasons being is every week the jungler goes out and performs well, and that's one of the most important roles in League of Legends. And if he does his job consistently, I think him doing his job every day will just keep him at that top spot. You not even mentioning the other lanes that are, I think, really good too.
Okay. Yeah. No. 100%. Xdon.
No, and let me tell you why. Every time I think of piping, I have a really bad taste in my mouth because I'll look on stream and I'll be like, let's look at their picks and bans. And I feel like every opponent completely throws their head out of a car and just like runs it on a couple rails or something because they let them have the same thing every single week. Like,
No way.
if this man plays one more Ivern game, I'm going to
What
lose
about
my
Orianna?
mind. If this man plays one more okay, you know what? Orianna gets banned occasionally. Orianna usually gets banned game 2. Doesn't really matter. They don't play around guy 1. Like, they keep giving him Ivern. They do this whole Janna, Tristana, everybody throw shields on hindsight and it'll all be okay composition. And I absolutely lose my mind every single time it's played because it's just stop. Just stop and make anybody play a different champion and you'll probably do a lot better. Now, with this, I'll say one thing. Blight game 2, I believe, this last week, played Kha'Zix and completely destroyed. Absolutely raffle stomped the game. And that was really good. That showed some variation, which I thought was really good. There was an Xerath played in the mid lane. That was really good with that variation. But that was probably the first game I've seen from them with something different. And if that's it, I'm not worried. I don't think teams are really maybe putting in the time to look at them that much, or they just wait to game 1, maybe like, oh, Ivern's maybe not that good. The guy knows how to play it. The guy knows how to play Orianna. The guy knows how to play Tristana. They know how to play Janna. Throw any tank in the top lane, he's going to do the same thing. So just that's the only reason I don't think they're the number 1 team. Is just purely I don't think they get as much of a challenge as they should be getting.
100%. Army, hit us with it.
Sure. And that's it.
What?
Explain.
Sure. And that's it.
Is that a meme? I'm missing something.
I don't know. I'm confused.
All right, Blaze.
Yeah. So moving on to me. I'm actually going to say that Piping are a number 2 team. Maybe not number 1. I think the No-Nips are a little more convincing, and they know how to close the games out quicker, and they don't let things get to that 40-minute or near the 40-minute marker. However, Piping are definitely the number 2 seed in my eyes. This team, very similar to No-Nips, despite being drastically different playstyles, is no one knows how to play against them. Nobody. As Xdon pointed out earlier, everyone gives them the Janna Ivern, which makes me want to rip my hair out because if it ain't broke, keep going with it, really. Like, and people keep handing it over to Piping. Like, you have to respect the Ivern Janna. And then when they throw the Orianna, they have 3 shields, they have an unkillable AD carry, Hindsight's having a field day, he can jump into 4 people and still not really get punished at all. Like, no one in the league so far has really shown through their own games or against Piping themselves that they know how to handle this. I think the games won for Piping and pick ban is a good way to put it because no one knows how to play against these guys. Really. So, are they a number 2 team? Absolutely. Will I think that they'll be very similar to No-Nips in the fact that they're not going to lose many games unless someone starts picking up their number? Absolutely.
Okay. No, I like it. Short answer for me, no. I don't think they are a top 1-2 team. I think they've gotten a little bit lucky. Like Don said, it seems like pick bans people just, I don't know. They're like, yeah, Hizorion is good, but let him have it. It's fine. Yeah, Ivern's not a good champion, and he goes like 10-0 on it, but let him have it. It's just why? Why do you do this? Looking at their lanes, top, mid, bot, nothing impressive there. They're good. Don't get me wrong, but they're definitely not number one in any of those spots. The number one on their team, the jungle, and it shows week after week. The rest of their lanes usually do okay. But also, I think we've said it in the past. Their schedule, they've had a pretty easy schedule so far. They went against GG Esports before they picked up Ninetales, who I think is a phenomenal pickup. So that was a pretty easy 2-0. Then they went against Piping. Or I'm sorry, they are Piping. They went against Frosty week 2, and I think, like I said, I think this was before Frosty really like got in their groove, found their synergy. 2-0 again. So that just kind of says it. And then against Nevermore actually put up a fight, and they went 1-1. So that just kind of to me. And then again, week 4 they got lucky because they went against Ascendancy Gaming, who literally joined the league the day beforehand. So, they hadn't really had time to do much practice. Then since then, they've also done some roster swap, and we saw Ascendancy this weekend do very well against All One Lane. They're a good team. It's just they kind of got called out beforehand. So that's my thoughts. Is they've just had a really easy schedule so far before teams either found their groove, teams made good pickups, or they're just lower half of the schedule team. But in the next coming weeks, Piping has a pretty rough schedule coming up.
Not the next week, though. The next week, week 6,
yes.
they face ESG. So I think the lucky streak continues for them.
Yes, but then the following week, they have a pretty rough Corey in the House, I think, is a pretty good team. Last week, they got 2-0 by GG, but they did have subs, and it wasn't a clean game by any means. And then after that, All One Lane, which, again, didn't look so hot this week, but they had some roster swaps, and I think All One Lane will pull it back. So I honestly think in the next coming weeks before Naughty Nips, they might drop a game or two, and then against Naughty Nips, I think right now is a 2-0. If something changes, obviously that will change, but right now I think the difference between Naughty Nips and Piping is pretty big, and I think Piping might lose their tied with Naughty Nips slot. So, final question for the group. Let's go with our match of the week. Who do you think is the match of the week this upcoming week? And let's hear your predictions for it. We'll go back to Blaze.
Well, I would say right off the bat, looking at the matchups, Frosty Esports versus All One Lane. This matchup is very important for both of these teams, as they're sitting at pretty close to each other in the standings. Frosty just a little ahead of All One Lane. All One Lane, like I said earlier, on a downwards trend. They want to stop that downwards trend. If they go 0-2 against Frosty, that's not going to be good for them. That might actually lock them out of playoffs almost, because they start to face a few tougher opponents down the road then, seeing how they've already faced some of the bottom tier teams. It only gets rougher for All One Lane. I think Frosty absolutely would love this win. That would give them to 10 points if they're able to 2-0 that, and that would basically lock them in the playoffs. I've heard that teams kind of fantasizing about the golden number being 12 points, and the closer you are to double digits, the better. So I definitely think it's going to be an interesting matchup. If I had to give my prediction for it, both these teams are pretty close, and that's exactly why it's so important. But I'm going to lean... I'm actually going to say 2-0 Frosty.
Ooh. Okay. Army Overlord, hit us.
Well, since Blaze decided to do the Frosty and All One Lane portion, I guess I'll just have to cast that game just to make up for the fact that I didn't get to talk to him here. So I'm going to go ahead and say that Nevermore and Burger Squad is also a very hot topic, extreme importance one, because this basically re-identifies the identity of Nevermore from this point. I said last time that if Nevermore does not manage to get this victory here, that they will basically be in a very bad spot. And honestly, that's still true. But it still comes down to who will come out victorious in the match to come. And I'm in due hope that Nevermore with their new changes, with their lineup. As you said, if I remember correctly, you said that as of right now, essentially everybody is gone except for Psycho Sully, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Also, apparently, Burger Squad is also gone because it's actually Corey in the house that was there, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Also,
Okay.
same team though, same team, just new name.
Right. And this is basically could be a securing of the torch or a passing of the torch for their for the lit flame of their momentum to getting into playoffs. Nevermore has to make this victory count. They have to make this victory happen because it's not going to look pretty for them at this point or any further down south. An 0-2 is something that a lot of people will be, I imagine, expecting because Corey in the house is definitely on fire with that recent win. Recent defeat, sorry. Let's hope that this change doesn't make Nevermore look worse. Let's hope they look better. I'm going to have to say 1-1 this time around for both sides.
Okay. Yeah. No, I think that's a pretty fair prediction. X-Don.
I'm gonna go ahead and agree with Blaze here. Frosty Esports versus All One Lane. Two, I think, despite All One Lane's downward spiral, I am hoping it ends here because it's not going to get any easier for them. So if they're able to go into the next couple of weeks with some momentum, it would be really easy for them. But you're also looking at Frosty. Frosty's been doing really well, so it's like, all right, well, this is like kind of the start of the climb for them. If they're able to get off to a good start, then it goes really well for them. But if Frosty's able to just keep doing what they're doing, then it does not spell very good things for All One Lane. So that for that reason, just the really big difference in momentums for each team. I think when they go ahead and meet together, it'll really spell out the future of both teams for the coming weeks after that. So I agree with Blaze on the Frosty Esports versus All One Lane on Sunday.
Okay. Not a real doctor.
Of course, I'm going to pick my team versus All in One Lane for the same
No
reason
way.
Blaze did. But I also want to give a shout out to another team. I want to say the RAR versus Ascendancy Gaming game is going to be big because if Ascendancy Gaming gets a 2-0, they're 8 points, and that puts them right where RAR is. And if RAR gets a 2-0, that puts them at 11 points, and that puts them in a good spot for the rest of the season. So I think that game really shakes off the playoffs, depending on who wins.
Give us the Ascendancy Gaming RAR. What's your prediction though?
Ooh, Ascendancy Gaming RAR. I say if RAR played like they played against us, Ascendancy 2-0.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. All right. So that leaves me. Yeah. I honestly think it kind of comes down to the two games. I think Ascendancy and RAR, like you said, I think that's a pretty good one. And then All One Lane Frosty. I'll have to go with All One Lane Frosty just because, again, you guys already mentioned it. All One Lane had a bad week or so. You know, they lost Hero Termina. They lost Green Boys. Then Frosty keeping the same roster. You know, this is, the team that does not change, but they've changed completely at the same time. They haven't changed any players, but they just look a lot cleaner. I think against RAR, I honestly did not see it 2-0 by Frosty. I was thinking probably 1-1. But Frosty showed me they're a solid team and they're a playoff caliber team. And I think All One Lane are a playoff caliber team. It's just they didn't look it last week. So is my faith misplaced in them, or can they, just had a bad week, turn it around? So I'm gonna have to go with that. But I'm gonna go with Frosty All One Lane 1-1. I think Frosty looked good. They still have a few points, where they kind of make a bad rotation or just kind of, drop the ball a little. And I think All One Lane will bounce back, hit some good practices this week, and come back and do a 1-1. So that's what I'm going to go with. So that ends us here for today, this episode of the Tower Dive. As always, come check out The Gathering of Warriors. I believe someone might have mentioned that earlier.
Thank you.
Come check that out on Wednesdays at 8 p.m., right, Army?
Mm-hmm.
So I think this week we might have a match between staff and free agents. So if you're a free agent, come check that out. If you're not, just come watch. Come watch X-Don and I body some people in the bot lane. It's going to be absolutely disgusting. Best spot in the West.
Now we're going to
well, come watch us feed. Either way, you're watching a show, boys. Friday, Saturday, Sunday. As always, we're streaming. Come check us out. It's going to be, as always, a phenomenal weekend. Tons of League of Legends. Great casting. I mean, what more can you ask for? Nothing. That's the correct answer. So, have a great week, guys. I'm Dota. This has been the Tower Dive.